What happened to the timeline?
On November 19th, 2021, Nemo received a crystal from another dimension. He couldn't resist it. He tried to channel its power for years, until it detonated and tore the fabric of causality itself.
From another dimension? That doesn't sound like an accident.
Perhaps it was nothing more than a ticking time bomb waiting to ignite.
What about the one still trapped inside the broken timeline?
Their suffering can't be translated, Doc. Only they know what it means to live in an endless chronology.
Hello there, I'm Nemo. Pac-Man, released in 1980, is one of the most iconic and enduring video games in history. Its creator Toru Iwatani famously claimed that the design of Pac-Man was inspired by a pizza missing a single slice. A very simple, yet clever visual that is instantly recognizable. With no needs for complex graphics, this yellow circle with a wedge for a mouth became a cultural phenomenon, especially because it stood out from the violent and often spaceship-heavy video games of the time. Iwatani's goal was to create something that was friendly and inviting, and it definitely worked. One little charming anecdote: Pac-Man was originally going to be called Pac-Man. However, concerns about vandalism in Western arcades, you can guess what the word puck could be turned into, led to the name we know today. And yet this cheerful jumping circle is not alone in its abstract representation. In countless drawings and animations, the sun is also portrayed as a smiling yellow face, a glowing friendly orb in the sky. Too warm for me. But unlike Pac-Man's maze-bound snack quest, the sun is a real thermonuclear furnace, fusing hydrogen into helium and blasting energy across the solar system. It is about 4.6 billion years old, halfway through its life. In another 5 billion years, it will swell into a red giant, likely engulfing Mercury and Venus, and maybe even Earth, before collapsing into a dense white dwarf. Its diameter is over 1.39 million kilometers, wide enough to fit over 1 million Earth inside. On most modern displays, that's about half the pixels making up the image you see. I know it's hard to comprehend that kind of scale, so come with me.
Oh, hey, that is a spherical gasometer. It was built here in 1934 in Gießen, Germany. It weighs 127 tons, its diameter is almost 16 meters, and it used to store up to 10,000 cubic meters of gas. It is the second oldest surviving riveted spherical gasometer in the world. It is an antique piece of engineering which represents a key step in the history of gas storage.
The tank was designed to hold gas under pressures up to 6 bar, and its structure was carefully calculated to avoid buckling from thermal expansion or weight. It is made of different types of steel, and its spherical shape wasn't just aesthetic. Spheres distribute pressures evenly, making them ideal for storing compressed gases efficiently.
The tank is riveted, meaning that the steel plates were connected together using thousands of individual metal rivets. In the 1930s, riveting was the most reliable method available at the time for high pressure containers like this one.
Ooh. Oh.
The riveted designs eventually disappeared in the 1950s because welding, a process that fuses metal parts together with heat, was faster and lighter. It also provided a tighter and more reliable seal. The gasometer was decommissioned in 1973. It was then moved 46 meters in 1993 to make space for a highway construction. At the time, it required a massive mobile crane, and it did attract the public attention. Since 2000, the gasometer has served a new purpose as part of an educational planetary model. In this model, the gasometer represents the sun, while scaled-down metallic spheres represent planets and their moons. Look, I'm Jupiter. While the distances are not to scale, the size ratio still gives you a pretty helpful sense of the vastness of the sun compared to the planets of the solar system. Look here, Earth, a small bronze ball, only 14.3 centimeters in diameter. How cute. With the rise of underground gas storage and modern pipeline networks, many of those towering structures were decommissioned, but some of them found a second life. Welcome to Vienna. At the edge of the city, 4 vast cylinders rise like fossils of ancient industrial beasts. These are the Vienna Gasometers. Built in 1896, each tower stands 70 meters tall and 60 meters wide, and one stored up to 90,000 cubic meters of coal gas. For nearly a century, they powered Vienna's streetlights, stoves, and heating system. By the 1980s, as Vienna transitioned to natural gas, the gasometers were decommissioned. Monumental, but empty and silent.
You're not supposed to be here.
What is this place?
You have to go back and follow the script.
But I don't want to.
Follow the script.
No, between 1999 and 1999 and
Between 1999 and 2001, they were radically transformed. 4 internationally known architects each redesigned one tower. Today, they house a mix of residences, student housing, offices, a shopping mall, a cinema, and even a concert hall, all nested inside the original brick shells. And run fact! Oh no, did I just say run? They were once a filming location for the 1987 James Bond movie, The Living Daylights. That was a stupid idea. But Vienna's relationship with strange architecture does not stop here. In 1971, the Austrian artist Edwin Lippburger designed and built a perfectly spherical house in Lower Austria. The local authorities denied him a building permit, so in response, he declared the structure an independent micronation and named himself president. So what really started as an art project became a legal and political standoff. He refused to dismantle the sphere So the state responded with fines and eventually jail time.
Murder for a star of radon.
This is hell, isn't it?
Dookies see blood.
Do not
Follow the script. You will live forever.
In 1984, in a bizarre compromise, the entire structure was relocated to Vienna's second district, where it still stands today at Antifaschismusplatz, a name invented by Lippburger and officially recognized by the city. This is the Kugel Mugel, or officially the Republic of Kugel Mugel. The micronation now claims over 600 registered citizens. After Lippburger's death in 2015, leadership passed symbolically to his son Nikolaus, and later to Linda Treiber. The structure occasionally hosts art exhibitions, but more than that, it remains a political symbol, a protest carved into geometry, a sphere that doesn't fit into the bureaucratic grid. Not every sphere stands for art or defiance. Some were built for far more dangerous purposes. The 1 million liter test sphere, built in the 1950s at Fort Detrick in Maryland, was the largest aerobiology test chamber ever constructed. It was nicknamed the 8 Ball. It is a matte black steel sphere, 12 meters across, weighing about 120 metric tons, with a 2.5 centimeter thick carbon steel shell, and the capacity to hold 1,000 cubic meters of air. Lots of numbers. It was designed to study the behavior of aerosolized bacteria and viruses. Inside, researchers would release a measured cloud of pathogens and track how it dispersed, how long it would stay airborne, and how to counter it. Tests began with animals: guinea pigs, monkeys, sheep, goats. They were placed in cages and harnesses at different points in the chamber. Eventually, the experiments moved on to human subjects. US Army personnel, officially described as volunteers, inhaled agents like Q fever or tularemia through sealed breathing ports. These trials were part of Operation White Coat, running from 1954 to 1973, and it involved more than 2,300 soldiers. Army records claim 19 years without any accidental releases or long-lasting illnesses. Yet only 1,000 soldiers were ever contacted afterwards, and among those only 500 were surveyed, leaving much unknown about the long-term effects. The sphere was engineered for containment, gas-tight seals, constant leak testing, and a slightly negative pressure so that any breach would pull air inward. The work ended in 1969 when the United States abandoned its bioweapons program. I actually made a pretty cool video about the subjects if you wanna check it out. The building around it burned in 1974, but the sphere itself survived, and it was added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1977. Today, it still stands at Fort Detrick, an intact steel planet from an era where science and secrecy shared the same air. So far, we talked about 5 different spheres: a pop culture icon, a star, a machine, a nation, and a threat. All round, all heavy with meaning, all still standing today. But one sphere tried to be all 4 of those things at once. The Death Star. Despite the name, it is not a star at all, but an artificial sphere over 160 kilometers in diameter. It was designed to look like a moon, but it works as a military base and a planet-destroying weapon. In the Star Wars universe, it worked as a tool of fear, a core element in the Empire's doctrine of control. Its size and appearance made it not just a weapon, but also a symbol. From a production standpoint, the design was intentionally minimal. The original filming model used in the 1977 movie was 1.2 meters wide and made of wood and resin. To create surface details, the model team used a technique called kit bashing, which is essentially gluing on tiny parts from commercial battleship and tank model kits. The result was a surface that felt huge and industrial, even in close-ups. And that equatorial trench, it was added in late production to hide the seam where the two hemispheres joined. The Death Star is now considered a milestone in miniature effect design. The Death Star is of course fictional, but is it? This is Mimas, one of Saturn's moons, just 396 kilometers across. That is the smallest known object that is round because of its own gravity. Mostly ice, lightly sprinkled with rock. And that crater, it's so massive, it nearly shattered the moon. Looks familiar, doesn't it? But here is the weird part, because Star Wars came out in 1977. The first close-up image of Mimas wasn't captured until 1980. So if you see any resemblance, it is completely accidental. And if you're mesmerized by this coincidence, well, look at the temperature distribution measured through composite infrared spectrometry. Fascinating, no? Pac-Man, released in 1980. The wall can be violent, but it is not just aesthetic and complex. This is a protest. I don't fit into cages.
Warning, spatio-temporal analysis suggests intersection with a black hole event horizon.
Nemo of Earth 016879, you're up!
The heck is this?
Congrats, you've been assigned the mantle of Nemo Prime.
Wait, I thought we were in line behind Catgirl, Nemo, and Agent.
Nemo of Earth 821103 was infected and replaced by a cosmic virus. That makes you next. And yes, it's mandatory.
Great. Nothing like a multiversal promotion with that sentence. But hey. Someone's gonna wear the target.